You know that feeling when everything around you starts shifting in ways you can't quite explain? When the same number keeps showing up everywhere you look? When conversations seem to echo the exact thoughts you've been having? When doors that were locked for years suddenly swing wide open? Most people dismiss these moments as coincidence, as their imagination running wild, as nothing more than pattern recognition gone haywire. But what if I told you that these aren't random occurrences at all? What if these are actually the universe's way of preparing you for something massive that's about to unfold in your life? The truth is, the universe doesn't just throw change at you without warning. It's not cruel or random or chaotic in the way most people think. Instead, it operates like the most sophisticated communication system you've ever encountered, sending signals, dropping hints, creating patterns that most of us are too distracted or too skeptical to notice. And right now, if you're watching this video, if something pulled you here at this exact moment, there's a very good chance that you're in the middle of receiving some of the most important messages you've ever been sent. See, the universe has this incredible way of speaking to us, but it doesn't use words. It doesn't send emails or text messages or leave voicemails. Instead, it communicates through synchronicity, through patterns, through what most people would call strange coincidences, but are actually carefully orchestrated signals designed to get your attention. And the closer you get to a major life transformation, the louder and more frequent these signals become. Think about the last time something significant changed in your life. Maybe it was a relationship ending, a career shift, a move to a new city, or even a profound internal awakening. If you really think back, if you're honest with yourself, you'll probably remember that there were signs leading up to that change. Little things that didn't make sense at the time, but looking back seem almost prophetic. Numbers that kept appearing, songs that played at just the right moment, conversations that felt divinely timed, people who showed up exactly when you needed them most. Here's what most people don't understand about how the universe operates. It's not sitting up there waiting to surprise you with random life events. Instead, it's constantly orchestrating circumstances, aligning energies, moving pieces on a cosmic chessboard to create the perfect conditions for your growth, for your evolution, for your next level of existence. But because this process takes time, because these changes need to unfold gradually to avoid overwhelming you completely, the universe starts dropping breadcrumbs long before the actual transformation occurs. These breadcrumbs come in many forms, and once you learn to recognize them, once you develop the eyes to see and the ears to hear, your entire relationship with life changes. You stop feeling like a victim of circumstances and start feeling like a co-creator in an incredibly intelligent cosmic dance. One of the most common ways the universe communicates is through repetition. You'll start noticing the same symbols, the same words, the same themes showing up everywhere you look. Maybe you keep seeing a certain animal, or a specific color keeps grabbing your attention, or you find yourself having the same type of conversation with different people over and over again. This isn't your brain playing tricks on you. This is the universe highlighting something important, drawing your attention to a message you need to receive. Numbers are probably the most obvious example of this. You might start seeing 1111 on clocks, or maybe 333 keeps showing up on receipts, or perhaps your total at the grocery store keeps adding up to the same amount. People often dismiss this as selective attention, as the brain's tendency to notice patterns that aren't really there. But what if it's actually the opposite? What if these patterns are absolutely real, and your brain is finally tuning into a frequency that was always broadcasting? Then there are the people who start showing up in your life right before everything changes. Sometimes it's new people who seem to appear out of nowhere, bringing exactly the energy or information or opportunity you've been unconsciously seeking. Other times it's old friends or acquaintances who resurface after years of silence, often with messages or connections that feel impossibly well-timed. And sometimes it's strangers who say exactly what you needed to hear, even though they have no way of knowing what you're going through. The universe also communicates through disruption, through things that stop working the way they used to. Your routines start feeling uncomfortable. Your old coping mechanisms stop providing relief. Relationships that once felt stable begin to feel strained or artificial. Jobs that once energized you start draining your life force. This isn't punishment or bad luck. This is the universe gently but persistently nudging you away from what no longer serves your highest good, creating just enough discomfort to motivate change without causing complete chaos. Dreams become more vivid and meaningful during these periods. You might find yourself having the same dream repeatedly, or dreams that feel more real than your waking life, or dreams that seem to contain messages or guidance about decisions you're facing. Your subconscious mind becomes a more active participant in this cosmic conversation, processing information and insights that your logical mind isn't ready to accept yet. Technology starts acting strangely, too. Your phone might randomly play songs that perfectly match your emotional state. You might receive calls or messages at exactly the moment you were thinking about that person. Your computer might glitch in ways that lead you to discover information you didn't know you were looking for. Apps might send you notifications that feel eerily relevant to your current situation. Even your physical environment begins to shift and change. You might find yourself drawn to new places, or familiar places might start feeling different. Objects might break or malfunction in ways that force you to examine your attachment to material things. Your living space might start feeling too small or too large, too cluttered or too empty, as if it no longer matches the energy of who you're becoming. The key to recognizing these signs isn't to look for them desperately or to assign meaning to every random occurrence. Instead, it's about developing a state of open awareness, a willingness to notice patterns without forcing them, to receive messages without demanding they make immediate logical sense. The most profound part of this process is what happens when you start trusting these signals instead of fighting them. When you stop dismissing every synchronicity as mere coincidence and begin treating them as actual communication from something far more intelligent than your rational mind could ever comprehend. This shift in perception doesn't just change how you see the signs, it changes how the signs show up for you. Because here's something they don't tell you about universal communication. It responds to your level of receptivity. The more you acknowledge the messages, the clearer they become. The more you trust the process, the more obvious the guidance gets. It's like tuning into a radio station. At first, there's static, fragments of sound that could be music or could be noise. But as you adjust the frequency, as you fine-tune your awareness, suddenly the signal comes through crystal clear. This is why some people seem to live charmed lives, always in the right place at the right time, always meeting the right people, always stumbling into opportunities that feel divinely orchestrated. It's not that they're luckier than everyone else. It's that they've learned to read the signs, to follow the breadcrumbs, to dance with the universe instead of fighting against its flow. But there's something you need to understand about this level of awareness. It comes with responsibility. Once you start seeing the signs, once you recognize that you're part of a much larger conversation, you can't unsee it. You can't go back to believing that life is random, that you're powerless, that things just happen to you without purpose or meaning. You become an active participant in your own transformation, which means you also become accountable for what happens next. The universe will start testing your commitment to this new level of awareness. It'll send you signs that require action, not just acknowledgement. It might guide you toward conversations that feel uncomfortable but necessary. It might open doors that lead to paths you never imagined walking. It might present opportunities that excite and terrify you simultaneously. And your willingness to follow these prompts, even when they don't make perfect logical sense, determines how quickly your transformation unfolds. This is where most people get stuck. They love the idea of receiving divine guidance until that guidance asks them to do something that challenges their comfort zone, their identity, their carefully constructed version of who they think they're supposed to be. They want the universe to confirm their existing plans, not redirect them toward something completely different. But major life changes rarely happen within your comfort zone. The universe isn't interested in keeping you safe and comfortable. It's interested in your growth, your evolution, your becoming. And sometimes that requires dismantling everything you thought you knew about yourself and your life to make room for something infinitely better. The signs become more intense as you approach the actual moment of change. What started as gentle nudges become impossible to ignore. The synchronicities multiply. The messages become more direct. The old structures in your life start crumbling faster than you can hold them together. And if you're paying attention, if you're really tuning in, you'll notice that even in the midst of what looks like chaos, there's an underlying intelligence orchestrating everything. Your intuition becomes sharper during these periods. You'll find yourself knowing things you have no logical reason to know. You'll get gut feelings about people and situations that turn out to be remarkably accurate. You'll have impulses to go certain places or call certain people that lead to exactly what you needed. This isn't psychic ability developing. This is you finally learning to hear the voice that was always there, always guiding, always available if you were willing to listen. The universe also starts removing obstacles that were blocking your path, sometimes in ways that initially look like setbacks or losses. That job you didn't really want anyway suddenly ends, freeing you to pursue something more aligned with your purpose. That relationship that was slowly draining your energy finally reaches its natural conclusion. That living situation that no longer fits who you're becoming suddenly becomes untenable, pushing you towards something better. What feels like destruction is actually construction. What looks like endings are actually beginnings. The universe is an expert at disguising gifts as challenges, opportunities as obstacles, breakthroughs as breakdowns. And the closer you get to your breakthrough, the more intense these disguised gifts become. People around you might start commenting on how different you seem. Even if you haven't consciously changed anything about your behavior, they might say you look different, sound different, feel different to be around. This is because your energy is shifting, your frequency is changing, and even people who aren't consciously aware of energetic shifts can still sense when someone is transforming at a deep level. You might find yourself outgrowing conversations, situations, and even relationships that once felt perfectly natural. This isn't you becoming judgmental or superior. This is simply what happens when your vibration starts matching a different level of existence. Like a caterpillar outgrowing its cocoon, you're literally becoming too big for the container of your old life. The final phase before major change happens is often the most challenging and the most magical simultaneously. The signs become so obvious they're almost impossible to miss. But the old you is fighting desperately to maintain control, to keep things predictable and familiar. It's like being caught between two worlds, no longer fitting in the old one, but not yet fully arrived in the new one. This is the moment when trust becomes everything, when following the signs requires you to leap before you can see where you'll land, when the universe is asking you to step into a version of yourself you've never been before, guided only by the certainty that something magnificent is waiting on the other side of your willingness to change. The truth is, you're not reading this by accident. You're not watching this video because the algorithm randomly decided to show it to you. You're here because something inside you is stirring, because you've been noticing the signs, because deep down, you already know that everything in your life is about to shift in ways you can't even imagine yet. The universe has been preparing you for this moment, dropping breadcrumbs, sending signals, orchestrating synchronicities to get your attention and guide you toward what's coming next. And if you've made it this far, if these words are resonating in that deep place where truth lives, then you're already further along in this process than you realize. Your transformation isn't coming. It's already here. It started the moment you began noticing the patterns, the moment you stopped dismissing the coincidences, the moment you opened your awareness to the possibility that life is far more intelligent and purposeful than you ever dared to believe. The signs will keep coming. They'll get stronger, clearer, more impossible to ignore. Your job isn't to figure out every detail of what's ahead. Your job is simply to trust the process, to follow the guidance, to remain open to the magic that wants to unfold through your life. So pay attention, stay awake, trust the signs, because everything you've been asking for, everything you've been working toward, everything your soul has been longing for is already on its way to you. The universe has heard your call, and it's answering in ways more beautiful than you could have ever orchestrated yourself. Your moment is now, your change is here, and the universe is celebrating because you finally learned to listen.